Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. According to a report by Sing Tao, Saudi broadcaster Al Arabiya has revealed that the United States and Iran are expected to resume diplomatic negotiations on July 11th in Pakistan. This next round of talks is scheduled to take place after the funeral of Iran's late Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, marking a renewal of direct diplomatic contact between the two nations. The upcoming negotiations are set to cover several critical and sensitive issues, including the easing of sanctions against Iran, the release of billions of dollars in frozen Iranian funds, and the current status of the Iranian nuclear program. This follows indirect technical talks held recently in Doha, which U.S. President Donald Trump described as very positive. Although Iran claimed that both sides had previously agreed to a phased release of frozen assets, U.S. officials later disputed that consensus had been reached. The July 11th meeting comes within a 60-day memorandum signed weeks ago, which mandates that both sides attempt to reach a final agreement on Iran's nuclear program. According to a report by Sing Tao, Iranian media outlet Tasnim news agency has revealed that at least 13 nations decided to skip the funeral of Iran's late supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, due to intense diplomatic pressure from the United States. The affected nations reportedly include countries from Eastern Europe, Africa, the Gulf region, and East Asian states. An unnamed senior source stated that the U.S. carried out a comprehensive campaign over 5 days to deter foreign delegations from traveling to Tehran. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio allegedly issued a confidential directive instructing embassies to warn host governments that attending the funeral would be deemed an unfriendly act with potential negative consequences for bilateral relations. Rubio also reportedly contacted officials in at least 5 Arab nations directly. Furthermore, U.S. ambassadors in Africa warned local governments that sending representatives could impact American development aid. Iran is holding a massive 6-day funeral ceremony for Khamenei, drawing thousands of mourners to Tehran, with high attention focused on whether his son and current supreme leader, Mojtaba, will attend. According to a report by the Liberty Times, US President Donald Trump stated in an interview with Axios that he is closely monitoring the state funeral of Iran's late supreme leader Ali Khamenei, who died in an airstrike on the opening day of the U.S.-Israel military action in late February. Trump emphasized that the United States and Iran would not exchange fire during the funeral period, and that the two nations have agreed to pause negotiations for a week, planning to resume talks once the ceremonies conclude. He also remarked on seeing Iranians weep at the funeral, suggesting with surprise that their grief might be insincere. Additionally, Trump mentioned that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has requested a meeting at the White House. This meeting could take place as early as next week, following Trump's return from the NATO summit in Turkey, which is scheduled for July 7th to 8th. Trump expressed that he shares a good relationship with Netanyahu, noting that the Israeli leader understands who is in charge. According to a report by Al Jazeera, at least 20 people have drowned after a wooden boat carrying students sank in the Central Democratic Republic of the Congo. The incident occurred on Friday as the vessel, which was transporting students returning from state exams, entered the confluence of the Sankuru and Kasai rivers in Kasai province. Authorities confirmed that there were 80 survivors and 20 bodies recovered so far. However, a local witness reported that the boat was actually carrying more than 200 passengers at the time of the accident. Local civil society representatives have strongly criticized shipowners in the country, accusing them of prioritizing financial profit over passenger safety and human lives. Deadly boat accidents are a frequent occurrence in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where overcrowded vessels, poor safety regulations, nighttime travel, and a lack of proper infrastructure in remote regions regularly contribute to high death tolls. According to NTD News, a Peruvian appeals court has restored the Transport Infrastructure Regulator's authority over the Chinese-owned Chancay port, reversing a lower court decision that had limited state oversight. The second constitutional chamber of the Lima Superior Court dismissed a lawsuit filed by Cosco Shipping Ports, Chancay, Peru, ruling that the terminal is public-use transport infrastructure and therefore subject to state oversight despite being privately owned. The decision restores the regulator Oversight's powers to regulate, supervise, inspect, and impose sanctions at the port. Located near Lima, the port of Chancay has become a major trade hub between South America and Asia since beginning operations in 2025. Cosco Shipping Ports had argued that the regulator lacked authority because the project was privately funded without a state concession. Following the ruling, Oversight stated that regulatory oversight is essential to protect users and ensure transparency. Cosco has indicated it intends to appeal the decision to Peru's Constitutional Court. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.